coming up to becoming president and then having to deal with it, the Virgo phase, and getting elected. So we already gone through, this is a different take. So I just wanted to, but it's going over the same hexagram. So it's interesting to see how this applies. So it goes into this degree, this Virgo degree, it's in the hexagram 64, line 1. It's about to change to go into Virgo. One thinks that one knows, but lives in darkness and cannot see properly. There are problems, but one does not act to fix them. Misfortune will accumulate. Difficulties will accumulate. There'll be much criticism. One must be ready to join forces with others if the problems are to be fixed. But that's really key, because he got the degree and there were still problems. So he obviously met this really rich woman, and she became enamored with him, and he married her. They got married on Valentine's Day. So usually you think marriage is in April, spring, but this was probably a little bit more romantically idealistic. It just kind of happened like this, but you can see this point, ready to join forces with others if the problems are to be fixed. If I get married, I'm just going to solve this. I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to work so hard. I got some base. One starts slowly, one holds back and says nothing. If nothing is given, nothing will be gained. So this is the line of this hexagram. And lives in darkness, cannot see properly. I'm not established. Nobody's understanding me. I'm not getting respect. I got my degree. I got a job, but it's not letting me write or do the things I want. I got further to go. So then he gets married as a solution to it. But by the time, so this was the Virgo phase inside of this, the whole hexagram inside of this was the hexagram of the army, of dangerous movement. I'm not going to read through this one, but it's the army. And inside of that, it went through, after completion, it went through the Pisces phase, the Virgo Pentagon, Pisces subplanet. So you had the Leo that's being critical, self-critical. I'm not getting that, I can't do this alone. And there's a need to get some Piscean help, or to have someone believe in me or somebody, and that brought in the marriage. Okay, so he certainly had the ability to make someone else important with the sun in the 7th house, and to charm with the moon in Taurus, the 3rd house. So someone that was royalty and very established would have been educated, but lived a somewhat protected life. I think he was social climbing and seeing this would work, and it was a practical thing. He had nothing to lose by it. But the funny point is, as soon as someone into Virgo, within 3 months of marriage, he added the second woman into the relationship, and they had this scandalous relationship for years. So as the kids came in, these things were going on in and around this. So there's the Sun Neptune. So okay, I just now as it goes into the Virgo, I'm going to read the Virgo one. I'm going to pull out the Virgo one. Okay, so let's go. Virgo one, it goes into where are we? Virgo, send it to Virgo, 40, line 6. Yeah, okay, here we go. So here's 40 is deliverance. So after he gets married, he's married, and still all that insecurity, those things were there. He got married, he's got established, he's anchored it, but he did the Leo thing. He got his moment of pride. He stood there and got in the glory. But it went into Virgo, and by that time it's starting to move away from the conjunction to Regulus as well as 6 stars, just extra trivia or meaning, extra relevance. But the as it went into Virgo, it changed from the hexagram of inappropriateness. So he got married under the theme inappropriateness, and got his degree under inappropriateness. So it implies he wasn't exactly centered. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this. His reasons may have been questionable or ambition or whatever. But I think there was a fear of not having enough money, a fear of not having a place, a fear of not being able to make it, a fear. His moon, Pluto. I'm not going to get that. And the opportunity came, and he took it. This is too good to turn up. I'll get this. I'm going to set up for life, and he was. But the turning it around to add someone else into it was a really questionable morality to do that, and what hurts were being caused, what things were being caused by that was this whole different thing. So as it went into this is going into the Virgo, the mental phase of being analytical and critical and disassociative, He didn't have water in his chart. He has the Mercury and Venus, but he has his ascendant. His main factors are he's a more drier person. So this is okay. So let's just read it and see. The hexagram is deliverance, arousing out of the abyss, thunder above and water below, thunder in the storm. That's the thunder in the storm. Excitement without and discrimination within. So if you meet someone else that's exciting, there's discrimination within. I don't know if you can live like this. Any sudden movement will involve criticism. To get free of danger, one must move away from it. If there are danger damages, one must fix them quickly. So probably he had the affair, and rather than blow up the marriage and lose his whole sense of security, Moon Pluto was not clear to that, he figured out a way to convince her to allow the other woman to come in, and he controlled the relationship that way. If it was your daughter, you wouldn't like this guy. Okay, so then you wonder what example he sets for his kids, or how like, it's a puzzle. It's not like Freud's idea that he wasn't really a center of it. He thought he was coming to learn from Freud, and he would learn and pick it up and get it. But this is pre-Freud. This is his. So the image: freedom from the storm, lightning and thunder. When it's shaken to the core, obscure emotions are released. Shock, danger, sudden movement. To rest in danger would be folly. Don't stay where you don't belong. If there's bad company, move away. Fears will not depart. They're too big to face. Move away. So his idea, his interpretation of this, it looks like when he got married, there wasn't the emotional gel or the passionate gel. He wasn't being physically satisfied, but he didn't want to move away from his security. So he had the affair, and to save the danger, he tried to bring it in close, even though it was scandalous. I don't know what to say about this, but the moving out of the abyss was the moving out of the abyss. He got married, then he set up the whole abyss, the degree, the marriage, the things all set up. I'm owned. It was a way of thinking he's not owned. I don't know what was rational. I think it's simply he met someone who was liking him more than his wife did, and he turned him on, and he didn't have the backbone to stop it. Okay, so the judgment: shock without, danger within. Affirmative action, movement out of inadequacy, refusing to be held back by fear. One moves before one feels ready. If one sets doubts in motion, one will encounter obstacles in every direction. Through movement, worries will be left behind. So the movement was to get married. Okay, let's get the career, let's go do something. But really, it was let's have the affair. It turned out to be let's have the affair. It's not really working with the best advice within this hexagram. Then the pentans was one looks for the freedom but is drawn to relationships. One looks for freedom but is drawn to relationships. One is pulled into critical thought and worry. It becomes difficult to accept the faults of others. Do everything required of you. Do not leave it for another day. Get it done so you don't have to think about it. Freedom will come when thoughts cease. That's the theme. But really, he's married. He's got all that's it. He's not happy. He's looking for freedom. Is drawn to relationships. Someone walks in. He adds the relationship. It's not going to add to his mental peace. Okay, so he has a foundation of great sorrow and great guilt from the beginning of establishing his whole career. Towards the end of his life, for years, he just wanted to build a tower and live in a tower where nobody could see him. He'd be in his own tower and be alone, because other people would bring in other things that would trigger off these sensitivities. This is part of the reason why he would be more aloof and alone. Like there's a kindness with the Neptune, want to help others, but this is the man who has this logic in this way. He was searching, like to advise people and to be counseling and advising people. This is his foundation. We could certainly understand people's transgressions or how it can happen. So I want to read before I get to this. I want to keep going. We're going to go through the line 1. It's in line 6. It starts in the 6th line. So I'll go to. Okay, here we go. Line 6. silent preparation. This is after marriage. This is as he's starting his affair. Okay. To me, it was just written over. So, well, that just became, they lived a scandal life, and that was that, and they just left it, and his career was something separate. People accepted it like that. And I look at it, think, what? It's not that simple. Silent preparation, sensitive to the greater need. One sees incompetence and does not criticize. One hears the rumbling of thunder and says nothing. Retreat to the mountaintop. One takes the solitary path and contemplates where actions will lead to. One understands the implications of times and will not contend. One lets go of what no longer belongs, no blame. But to him, what no longer belongs, he's split two sides. He has the marriage as a social convenience, and he has an affair for his personal indulgence. It's like two sides of this chart. Okay, so this is, okay, then as you go forward, like we can go into these, the more detail you get about his life, the more you can go into these down to 10-day intervals. But when it changed, it was in the Libra Virgo. I think he got in and he got repulsed and he wasn't turned on and he didn't want to be closer and it was bugging him, and so he had the affair and she was feeling inhibited because she wasn't accommodating, it wasn't good enough for him. And I didn't want to have the social position, didn't want it to be, so she just accepted it in. But for his whole life, she did that through numerous affairs. But she had her kids and was able to take care of them. So she got what she wanted, but she carried his intelligence and brilliance related to, but the other side, there's a lot of sorrow here. But it switched from the Virgo self-critical analytical side to the indulgent Venus Libra. I'm sharing, I want this. This is the Libra Pentan coming in. And the hexagram is, that's retreat, and it goes to influence and wooing, but just, and inside of that was the Aries impulse, the impulse to get what I want, to find this freedom. So he interpreted that as the affair. But this is something that stayed as a consistent factor in his life, these two worlds. It's funny because the very thing that gave him his intelligence and his insight to be able to see these things, his lifestyle was the very thing that would be the opposite of someone who deserves to be talking like this or writing these things. So it's a puzzle in this, with this thing. This is his evasiveness. Freud was much more specific and detailed around how things work. And this is before he met Freud. So he has all these complexes in place and all these guilts in place, or he may not have seen as guilts, just evasions or whatever in place before he meets Freud. Okay, so as this goes on, he gets to about, where are we here? 2000? No, that's further. So I took a jump here. Yeah, okay, so I'm jumping ahead to